All right, welcome back to Talking Shop. We have a doozy of a text. Luke chapter 9, 51 through 62. Rejection, fire from heaven, where foxes and birds sleep, all that kind of good stuff. Lots of good conversation. A couple things real quick. Look below. There will be a link for the two workshops that are being hosted by Crafter Preaching this summer. First one's in Las Vegas with Dr. David Schmidt. This next one is in Chicago with Dr. Peter Nafsker. Great opportunity to get together with other pastors, talk about preaching, get some guided kind of thought and discussion going. Sign up. It's not too late, so please do that if you can be at either of those. We're happy to have Sean here with us, brand new pastor right here in our circuit. We were at his installation last Sunday, our ordination and installation, all the things. So it's nice to have you with us, brother.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And I think that are those all the things I'm supposed to say?
You probably missed something,
That's
but
all right. Let's get after it.
Yet I'm still welcome in the arms of the King.
All right, so Luke chapter 9, 51 through 62. When the days drew near for him to be taken up, he set his face to go to Jerusalem. Lots of setting the face.
Lots of face
right.
setting. Yes. Lots of before the faces. Lots of
yeah. So interesting. I don't know if you're preaching this text. Would you take note of not just that his face is set to Jerusalem, but like the notion of what it means to be taken up at this point?
Yeah. I think if you're going to talk about the setting of the face, you probably have to do the taken up. And it's taken up in Luke's gospel. It's not lifted up.
Right.
So you do have that.
It's not John's gospel.
It's not John's gospel of being glorified. Yeah. So this isn't looking at the resurrection. This is looking towards the ascension and God, bringing him back into the heavens and sitting him at the right hand. So there's still glory, authority there. It's just not. It's going to go even past the cross, I guess you might say. But I think if you were going to do the setting your face, it would be very easy to do a sermon of Jesus focus.
Sure.
And especially where this takes you with the people who come up to him or the people who he interacts with at the end of this text. While we might be scatterbrained, Jesus is very focused. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So he sends messengers ahead of him who go into the village of the Samaritans to make preparations for him. I'm not sure what that is. What are they going to prepare?
Yeah. Well, it's a long journey from Galilee down through to Jerusalem, and so maybe it's preparations for staying over a night for lodging.
Right.
If you're gonna, let's see, have we had in Luke yet? Have we had the sending out of the?
No, that's coming next.
That's coming next.
Yeah.
So you don't have that context yet of the kind of the John the Baptist preparing the way.
Yep. So you get a couple guys apparently go ahead. They go into the village of the Samaritans so there's anticipation in some sense that he's coming here, he's going to be in this place. And that's where it's all going to come to a head. They don't want him.
Yeah.
Apparently, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at this time, his entourage is pretty big, too. So, they're headed to Jerusalem, he has a huge entourage. And so that means that, these guys are going ahead, preparing a place for him. And, because he's somebody that's notable now. And then now you have to imagine all the other people. It's not just the 12, it's the others. And that's what you're going to get to later in the text when you hear others speak.
Sure.
I could let the commenters correct me, but at the beginning of chapter 9, he does send out the 12.
Oh,
so,
okay. I thought you meant the 72.
Well, I was just thinking the sending out of disciples to kind of spread the message, you might say.
I see.
Or even without the message, the Messiah is coming. Or
without
even being specific, just Jesus is coming.
Kind of a statement, yeah.
Right. They don't receive him because it says his face was set toward Jerusalem. Again, he's focused. He's going there. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to do with the because there. If that's
I find that rather difficult because it seems like it's putting the cause for their rejection on Jesus himself and not their own lack of faith.
on his motives. Well, I mean that can go to it. I mean, they want if you. I mean, this is reading a lot into it, obviously, but they want. You could spin it that way. They want him the way they want him.
Yeah.
And that's not his focus, as you started with. He's got a mission of which he's journeying towards, and he's not going to be deterred from that. And so they don't want it at all.
Yeah, I get you could add a couple words in there if you were going to interpret it the way that I think we could, and that is because they didn't like that his face was set towards Jerusalem.
Yep.
So, just like the leaders are rejecting Jesus because he's not their in crowd. He's eating with tax collectors and sinners. So you have the Samaritans who are rejecting Jesus because he's not setting his face towards Gerizim. He's setting his face towards Jerusalem.
Yeah, because when you go back to the woman at the well, right? And that was a Samaritan woman, right? And she was basically said, our God is worshipped here. You guys worship your God at Jerusalem,
right?
And so the fact that he's looking towards Jerusalem, that means he's not there for them. And a
that's
lot
interesting.
and a lot of times Jesus has said it. I'm not here for the others. I'm here for the Israelites.
Yeah. Matthew's gospel, not Luke's gospel, but okay.
We in my Bible study we technically call that mushing.
Mushing. Okay, so mushing.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's good. Yeah, and is James and John, they see this reaction and they have a wonderful, very compassionate response, which is what?
I think we should call down fire on them, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we'll do it for you. We're not even asking
Yeah.
you to. You just give us permission, and you just wink. You just say the word. We'll be your henchmen for you.
It's interesting. Well, it seems misplaced comment from them. They seem to have the faith that they can do it.
They can do it.
No, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Lord, do you want us to do this?
If God wants this to happen, it can happen.
Yeah.
Sure.
As misplaced as their reasoning might be, their ability is not.
Or understanding what Jesus or God can grant
is
them.
capable of. Is not misplaced. Absolutely. And it's worth noting that our Greek manuscript was italicized, and so we found the connection, and it takes us back to 2 Kings chapter 1. Where Ahaziah, the king Ahaziah, sends messengers to Elijah, and he calls down fire upon them.
Right.
Because they're obviously rejecting his word.
Right. So that's the background of
Yeah.
it. They see this as a rejection of him, and apparently see this as a fitting kind of punishment of, at least in their eyes. But our Lord is having none of it. He rebukes them. You do get a textual variant there that kind of expands upon that a bit about this is not why he came. He didn't come to destroy, but to save. I think that's probably a fair inference here, right? He rebukes them, and then they just move on to another village. If they don't want him there, then he'll go on somewhere else.
Right.
Which is sort of what he told the disciples when they went out. If they don't receive you, shake the dust off your sandals and move on.
Yeah.
Right.
So that leads me to this question. Who is Jesus rebuking? Because the previous pronoun, the them,
interesting.
is within the statement that James and John said, you want fire to consume them, meaning the townspeople.
Meaning the
so
Samaritans.
could Jesus be rebuking the townspeople in that village and then going to another village?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I would say maybe not, it would preach. We always have to say that. That's I think you could do that. But
Depends on the variant,
it's the disjunctive "de" there.
Okay.
But he rebuked them, kind of separating it from the statement said before. So, that would be my
So I
only
guess you
statement
can
for
make
it.
the argument though that he's
Yeah.
rebuking. I think that textual variant makes it feel much more like he's rebuking the
Yeah.
disciples.
I agree with that, but
yeah.
the question is
But
on the
without
accuracy
that-
of the
yeah,
variant.
Exactly
always.
right. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Changes the feel for sure.
yeah. And again, fulfills what he told his disciples to do
Which
at
is,
the,
yeah, the same
at the very
thing.
beginning,
Sure.
which is, wipe
And
the
they just
dust
move
off
on.
your
So
feet.
maybe,
And in terms of the disjunctive, it could be instead of replying to James and John,
Yeah.
yeah.
the break is
The
I'm going to
break
talk
is,
to
I'm
the village
rebuking
and
them.
say I rebuke you and
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if I were doing my sermon of setting the face and kind of focused, that Jesus kind of just moves on to there because this isn't his battle. This isn't,
Fair, yeah.
and in fact, how he's actually going to, in essence, even judge the Samaritans or his disciples or whatever is by ultimately dying on the cross. And that's, in John's gospel. Yes, I'm mushing again. I'm mushing this time, I guess you could say. The world stands condemned already because they had not believed in him. So I think that'd be a fascinating way to play that off. Either way, of rebuking them. Of I've got a bigger mission here.
Yeah, and that all plays into the next paragraph,
Yeah.
which is those who seem to have some other condition they want to put upon the immediacy of the following of this one and where he's going. If it's sort of like his way is the only way in that regard, right? So going along the road and someone says to you, I'll follow you wherever you go, right? Sounds great.
Sorry, this scene brings me back. If anybody wants an imagery, the movie Braveheart, where he's starting to gain a following, and he's now there, and he has 3 different people come up to him and kind of pledge allegiance to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you wanted to play with this text, you could go back and watch that and see some fun there. But anyway,
Or maybe Braveheart took it from here.
maybe they did. Maybe
That's
they
right.
did.
What does he say?
What Jesus says?
Yeah.
Foxes have holes, birds have air, birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man ain't got nothing.
So what's he getting at?
Do you really know what you're getting yourself into?
Okay.
Yeah, I think at this point, especially because he has his face set towards Jerusalem, if you're going to take the messianic fervor of the time, this is David going up to reign in Jerusalem. And so as somebody comes to him, they're like, well, if I follow him and I'm a good soldier in this army that he's now building as he goes to take in his reign, I'll have a place in the palace.
Yeah.
And so I think Jesus basically says, no, you don't understand why I'm headed to Jerusalem. He'll tell his disciples later, is that in Luke, a prophet, it is not lawful or is not permitted for a prophet to die away from Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll tell his disciples, but I think the crowd here thinks that they're going to the glory days.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Jesus is kind of helping them, reminding them that it doesn't work that way.
Well, we know, like from Palm Sunday, that's what exactly happens, right? Everyone's like following, everyone's saying Hosanna, and then next thing you know, Jesus gets captured and everyone's gone.
Yeah.
So like, it's basically Jesus, like you're saying. Jesus says, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You don't know what my end goal is, so don't think that this is what you want.
Yeah. And I think the big issue with this one is not the guy coming and saying, I'll follow you. I think, theologically you can play with all of that. But it's the wherever you go. Mm-hmm. This is similar to the James and John, can we sit at your right hand, at your left?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Jesus says, you don't know what you're asking.
Yeah.
You don't really know what's in store.
Yeah.
So.
So then he says to somebody else, follow me. And that guy says, Lord, let me first go and bury my father.
Seems reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, after all, one of the commandments is to care for your mother and father, honor them, and even to bury them. Now, I did have a note that this particular statement, bury my father, is probably an idiom. I've got it in 2 different lexicons. Take care of one's father until death, or to care for my father until he dies.
So it's not like he just died.
It's not
and
like
he's
he just
I
died.
gotta go
Yeah,
bury
and
the guy.
that's where I
Yeah.
think we run into it in English that we have to play this off a little bit. So yeah,
So he's gonna he wants to fulfill that duty.
Correct.
And then he'll be there.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things that always in like Asian ministries, when you're doing like ministries to Asian people, a lot of people work at nail salons, and they're like, let me work on Sunday mornings. I'm gonna work until I make enough money, and then I'll come and go to church on Sundays. But until I make enough money and tuck it away for my family, for my needs, I'm gonna have to skip church for now.
Yeah.
So if you want to go preaching that way, go ahead.
Man, I think that's a good crossover.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
it fits well.
And what does he respond to him?
Let the dead bury the dead.
Wow, Jesus, why you got to be so harsh?
Yeah. Let the dead bury their own dead. But what?
As for you, while you are going, that's a participle, so I'm going to do it that way. Proclaim or declare the active rule and reign of God.
It seems to me
So-
then what he's doing, he's contrasting. Follow me isn't just join the band here.
Yeah.
It's call to faith.
Yeah.
And the dead are those who were without faith,
Right.
at least now. So
Yeah.
they'll take care of themselves, but I've given you a commission.
And maybe
I'm
the
calling
argument,
you to faith, and yet he's saying, I'm not ready.
yeah, without being judging on the Father, but I think you could argue from Jesus' words that the Father is at least not professing to be a believer, because Jesus might even argue if your Father did believe, you wouldn't have to go and care for him.
He could be
he'd
one you could
here
go
with us.
proclaim to.
Right.
If you're
Sure.
following
that's
Jesus,
true
you could
too.
end up,
Yeah.
and bringing him to life through
Interesting.
faith.
Yeah. Fascinating. So.
So yeah, there's the call then in your going. I mean, wherever that may be. That
Yeah.
You have a commission to go and do this, to make this proclamation known.
Mm-hmm.
And yet another said, I'll follow you. But first let me say farewell to those at my home. Right, so this other guy, hey, I'm ready to go. Let me just go pop in and tell him I'm leaving. Right?
Yep.
And again, it seems very immediate. What does Jesus reply?
And Jesus said unto him, no man having put his hand to a plow and is looking back is fit for the kingdom of heaven, or the active rule and reign of heaven. Of God.
That's pretty good.
So I think this is interesting, sort of, as we said earlier about the village. They wanted Jesus under their own sort of terms. Jesus did not call this last man.
Right.
He just said, I'm going to follow you, but my way, in my time and my
Yeah.
space. And so, again, he's trying to put God in his own image and in his own way.
Yeah. Yeah, in essence, all three of them are. I mean, you get the first one, and he appears so zealous. I'll follow you wherever you go. You don't know where I'm going yet, so how can you...
And it speaks of
Yeah.
wrong motive probably underlying.
Right. And then the second one, obviously, where Jesus gives out the invitation, and he says, I'm not quite there yet. And then you have this third one that comes back and says, yeah, I'm ready. One more thing, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's what we try to do, and this is another way where you could do a sermon. It's we're bargaining with God.
Yeah.
Right?
And we all do it.
Yeah, we all do it.
all do
Yeah,
it,
yeah. This would be a really easy one to do. So
And the beautiful contrast is you have the 12 disciples that are with Jesus right there too, and they just dropped everything and went. Right?
Yeah.
When Jesus came up to them and said, "Hey, follow me." Okay, and then John, and you have James and John
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
who's
See ya,
like,
Dad.
Bye, Dad, and they just left, like from the
Yeah.
boat, just like walked away.
and yet don't want the Christ to suffer and die. Peter's confession. Want to destroy all of the enemies along the way. James and John calling down fire.
Yeah.
And ultimately, as you said at the very
away.
beginning, will run away and abandon him and leave him alone in the end. So even those who did drop everything, and this is the life of Christians.
Yeah.
That as zealous as we want to be, as fervent as we want to be, we will fall short.
Yeah.
But Jesus has set his face towards Jerusalem.
And he's making no bones about it. This this is the hard. This is not an easy thing. Like
Right.
to follow in that regard, to be a perfect follower, you're not going to do that. Like you're like it's. The ask is almost too great in a lot of senses, and that, like, I think a good angle in preaching then is to go back to being that his face is set on Jerusalem, which you could kind of horseshoe in, because his face is set for your salvation. Like he will not be deterred from that path, and even now for you now with your weak little excuses you still come up with, his face is still set for your salvation. Like he is still doing that work, and so it's not too late for you, that kind of thing. It's not like you could have made a million excuses and still make them, and his face hasn't shifted from the goal, what he's working towards, you know.
Yeah, and it would steal a little bit of thunder from next week's sermon if you wanted to, but at the end of the 72, the return of the 72, you know, wow, look at all these wonderful things that we're able to do in your name. And Jesus says, oh yeah, that's great, but what's greater is your name has been written in the book of life. Right. Rejoice in that. Yeah. And so as zealous as we want to be, yes, be zealous, do that, strive to follow him and obey him. But when we fall short of that and now think that we're outside, then you can look back and see Jesus with his face set towards Jerusalem, preparing the way for you and bringing salvation to you. So,
all right. Well, that's a doozy. Take a minute to like and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Check out Craft of Preaching at the 1517 website. Leave your comments. Your comments are always helpful for the community, for people preaching this text. There's a lot here, a lot that we left unsaid, I'm sure. Lots more conversation. But continue to participate. Share us with those who aren't yet following, so that they might be part of the conversation as well. And God bless your preaching.